I like that. Let's do that again. Good morning and welcome. That's very nice. I like that. Thank you for that. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming here today at the beautiful Eden Project on what is turning into a really glorious day. Normally when we do these things here, we're sort of pointing that way, but we thought, let's turn it around. Let's make sure you all get an amazing view, not only of us and yours truly, but also of the reason we're here at the Eden Project today. Just one celebration of one of our great venues here in Cornwall. My name's Nikki Davies. For anybody that doesn't know me, I'm one of the directors here at Software Cornwall, and we are here today to launch something really, really exciting. But we've got an awful lot to get through, so we're going to crack on. Firstly, for anybody that hasn't engaged with Software Cornwall before, I'm recognising a lot of people in the room today, and it's really lovely to be in a room full of faces that I see often at smattering events over Cornwall. So to have you all here in one place is really, really awesome. But for anyone who doesn't know us, we are a not-for-profit community organisation here to serve the software, tech and digital sectors in Cornwall. We were founded back in 2014 as a direct peer group for leaders of software companies who needed to support and back each other up. And one of the things that they were all struggling with at the time that is still a problem today was access to talent. And so they took a direct approach to grow their own and launched one of the, to be honest, I would say this, but one of the best education outreach programs in the country to make sure that actually there's not a lot of people passing the door in Cornwall who might want to get jobs. So it's actually how do we upskill the people that are here, show young people that there are opportunities for them here in Cornwall and that they can get a really, really cool job with some really cool people on their doorstep and then hopefully fill some of the vacancies in our companies locally. We are a very small but very mighty team. For anyone that was at the Tech Southwest Awards on Thursday night, you were probably terrified by Titan as well as he marched towards you. This was honestly quite crippling. But this is Holly, Kaylee, myself, Sarah, Gary, and Rob, and we are the Software Cornwall team. We are supported with tremendous thanks to our members, supporters, volunteers, sponsors. The community gives up a huge amount of time for us, and for that I am eternally grateful. I couldn't possibly even name you all because you've been here since the beginning, and hopefully will be into the future as well. But yeah, I really couldn't do this without the community. So we are grassroots, we are here for the community, and we're very much by the community. We do a lot. Even though there's sort of 6 of us, we try and cover a lot of ground. And with access to talent being one of the biggest blockers to growth for a lot of our companies, that's where we try and focus our time. So we run award-winning work experience programs for young people. We now also do these for adults. We run career switcher programs for adults. I'm really pleased to say we've had a 30% success rate, placing another person 2 weeks ago with a company that's in this room on our career switcher program. So if you are recruiting, it's proving to be a really, really great model to get those junior staff in. We run tech jams, free code clubs. We try and get kids and their caregivers to come and experience what it's like to play with tech and to work in a tech company. And then we also run community events, opportunities for networking, and obviously things like this, which I'm going to talk about shortly, to bring that community together. So these are some of our programs. Our events calendar is on our website. You probably may know that we're also the delivery team behind Agile on the Beach, which is the UK's biggest Agile conference, possibly Europe as well, we're not quite sure. But it takes place in Falmouth every July. Tickets are on sale now. It often sells out, but it brings together 500 Agile practitioners and experts from all over the country with 50 absolutely killer speakers. And it's really an amazing event to be a part of. To give you a sense of scale, we had 250 applications for speakers last year and had to get it down to 50. So it really is, if you're doing anything Agile or you're wanting to move into Agile or you're trying to figure out what it is, or you're using it but you're not quite sure it's working, it really is the event for you. And we also deliver the Half Stack Conference, which is a conference for JavaScript developers and enthusiasts that we do in Newquay every year with the support of the team at Half Stack. So we are the delivery team behind those as well. We do a lot in terms of things like business support. So because we've got a big network, we often get inquiries from companies looking for a new website or some branding help, or someone knows SEO, or they've got a legacy system that just won't move and they need to update it. We often get those inquiries in, so we share those with our network and try and just facilitate some of that sort of networking and peer-to-peer connections as part of our membership as well. And all of that, all the membership and sponsorship and all the things we do, all of that profit goes back into supporting the education outreach program. No one pays us to do any education stuff, but it is one of the most important things we do, and we could not do it without the support of the community. So something a little bit different now. Super excited to be presenting today's Festival of Tech. This has been a pipe dream for us for as long as certainly I've been with Software Cornwall. We've managed to do things to tackle the talent crisis. We teach kids to code, we help adults get jobs, we upskill staff within companies, we put on events, we do a lot of networking. But we really wanted to go bigger, and the one thing that we felt was missing, and the thing that members were telling us, is actually how do we connect properly with other tech companies in Cornwall, but also connect them with buyers, people within Cornish companies that also have tech problems, that need software developers or have legacy systems that they need updating, have big projects. We know that there are companies in Cornwall that spend millions of pounds on their software projects, and we want to encourage them to spend that money in Cornwall because we know that we've got the skills and talent within the county to actually fulfill some of those projects. And that really was what the Festival of Tech became about. We were then lucky enough to receive some funding from SPF to actually bring this dream to reality. And we're really excited to announce that in February, from the 12th to the 25th next year, our Festival of Tech will take place. And this deliberately spans half-term week from the 12th, which will be very much lots of events focused at the community, getting kids, caregivers, teachers, doing a lot of the community outreach stuff that we do. And then the second week will focus more on the business community, so making those connections, showing Cornwall that you've got all the expertise in Cornwall to solve all your tech problems and encourage them to buy locally, ultimately, from many of the people within this room. So the whole dream behind this was really to inspire and connect and make sure that Cornwall isn't just seen as a place where we've got beautiful beaches and we do great food, pasties, we've got rodders. You can do all those things here. We know that message about Cornwall. But actually it might surprise a lot of people to learn that Cornwall's got one of the fastest growing tech sectors in the UK and is the fastest growing in the Southwest. And that's not a message that's getting out. At Software Cornwall, we're really good at telling each other that, and our members are really good at telling each other that, but we really wanted to turn the mic outwards and actually make sure the rest of Cornwall knows that. Because I think we've taken it for granted, certainly over the years, that we think everybody knows about us, but we're constantly meeting new people, meeting new companies, seeing these incredible innovations that actually don't know that they can do all this stuff on their doorstep. So we really wanted to change that, and with and keep serving this community for years to come. So we want to basically turn Cornwall into a prime hub for tech. This year we're starting very much on focusing on the local community, but we are ambitious. We want to make sure that, yes, Cornwall's serving Cornwall and we're shopping locally, but also we want to turn it outwards. We're niching this year. So this is just year one. We want to make sure that we get the local community involved. But it is our ambition in a few years to make sure that the rest of the country also knows that Cornwall is much more than a postcard, that they can do big projects here. They can come here on holiday, and actually they've got some killer tech companies as well. So there's a few ways you can get involved. I'm going to hand over to my team shortly because we've got a large breakdown of some of the events already confirmed for the festival, and it will give you much more context into the sort of things that are going to be taking place. But you'll probably notice on your tables, you've got an A4 sheet, beautifully coloured. This, there's no such thing as a free lunch. This is your lunch ticket. We need you to fill this out. So if any ideas come to your mind and you want to put them in, you're literally going to exchange this for lunch as we reach the lunch break. So please fill it in. My team are They are bulldogs. They will make sure that they get that voucher off you. And even if you're kind of not interested in anything, that's okay. Just say you're not interested. But actually what we want to get from you is a bit of a movement. How can we create a groundswell and show that there's so much interest in this? And that's kind of what this form is. There is a plain back to it as well. So if other ideas or thoughts come to your mind, or there's something you think we're missing, we really want to hear from you. There's no good 6 of us going away and saying, okay, this is what we think Cornwall needs, because we know from our members, but we know that that's also a fraction of the industry. It's really important that we get with you. If you could take a poster and stick it up, then we can make sure that we're reaching the network wider than ours. Take some flyers. If you are in a co-working space, or you're one of the innovation centres, or maybe you're at Launchpad, we want to make sure that everyone in those buildings knows about us as well. And equally, I'm happy to come and talk to your businesses. If there's a room full of people, I'm happy to come and almost give this talk again and tell everybody how to get involved. So please make that connection with me. The team are at the door as well. We're more than happy to come and tell everybody about this and get the word out. Equally, pledge your support, share our stuff on social media. That is the best way to get the network out there. And I know if you actually tot up probably the number of impressions you get from all the people on LinkedIn in this room, we could reach probably over 1 million people without very much effort. So share our content and have a think about the networks that you're in. Actually, who are we missing? Who else should be in this room that isn't here today? How do we make sure we get the word out so that we can turn this festival into something that really is a celebration of all the brilliant innovations here, and really get the word out? So we're going to get into the details now. I'm going to hand over firstly to my colleague Robert, who's going to talk to you a little bit about some of the events. Like I say, if anything springs to mind, pop it on the form or pop it on the back of it, or come and grab one of us at lunchtime. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning. This is amazing. Seeing so many people here interested in the Festival of Tech and what we're doing. This isn't really about us. This is the important bit. This isn't about us. We're going to be here doing what we do regardless of the Festival of Tech. This is all about you raising the profile of what you do in Cornwall to other businesses and to communities. It's only if Cornwall know that you are here that we can make changes. For me, who does all the education outreach, going into schools, I have parents walking past our stands at careers fairs and saying to the student, "Oh, you're not interested in that?" How do they know? They don't know what we do because it's really hard to reach parents. We can't reach the pupils in the schools if we can't get to the schools. And because of GDPR, we don't know who they are either. We certainly don't know who the parents are. Festival of Tech is about raising the profile about everything all of us do in the county. It's not about us. It's about you. So that's the iteration of what we want to do. So Tech Jam, Cornwall Tech Jam, we run every second Saturday of every month except August. It's been run since about 2014 when I first volunteered at Software Cornwall. It gives an opportunity for students out of school to come along, try some technology, try some software development, play with servos, LEDs, robots, and all this kind of stuff. We'd run this, I say, once a month in 2 separate locations, our office and centres around Bodmin. We want to change that. So during the Festival of Tech, we want to run it every single day during half term. So Monday to Friday, we will be in a different location around the county. We've already got locations sorted out in St Ives, in Bude, in Liskeard, and somewhere else I've already forgotten. And one other place we need as well. The 5th location I do not have. So we need an organisation who would like to host a Cornwall Tech Jam. We rock up with all the kit for you. We'll provide you with assistance in how to use it. And I hope that one of the team will be there to assist you on the day as well. But it's all pretty much self-contained, and you will get youngsters in your local area experience, but it's great fun. We've run it for adults as well. It's hugely successful. Some of you here I know have done it as well. It's great fun, and we're going to be doing that. Also, we have this wonderful office, the FibreHub in Poole. And those of you who've been around at night may have noticed the LEDs on the outside of the building. They can be any colour at any time. And if you're lucky enough to have the app on your phone, which I do, you can play around with them and do all kinds of really cool stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to run effectively like a tech jam workshop on one of the evenings during the week. And we're going to get kids programming LEDs on the desks inside the FibreHub. And then when they're ready, transfer it to the building. Go outside at night, 15,000 LEDs playing on the building for a kid. Imagine that. All the traffic going by outside is going to see all their stuff going on. I'm hoping one of them will come up with a game they can play, like Pong. Who knows? But it's awesome. Also, this is my big one, the Inventors Day. So this is the whole idea of this is from the Tech Jam, like in schools, the kids come along and they go through a worksheet. And I find they're not taking the next step to thinking, what can I do with this? They're not taking that instinctive thing that I've learned this. Okay, I go off and do something else. Why aren't you doing something with it? Why aren't you making something with it? So the Inventors Day is that we have some subjects. We want the students from the Tech Jam and some others to come along as well to solve some real-life problems set to us by industry. So if you have ideas about what could be solved by students, we're not talking about major problems like, how you can solve the climate crisis over a weekend. Not possible. Can you build something or have an idea for something that could be built? Day one, 2 weeks before the Festival of Tech, we get the teams together, we present the problems, they start thinking about what they need, and then put together a list of materials they need. In the intervening fortnight before the Festival of Tech, we go out and buy everything for them. Then on the Festival of Tech week, teams all come back and they build. And then they present their solutions to the people who set the problem at the end. We want them to use their imaginations and come up with some amazing answers. I've done it before with a school at Wadebridge for the St Ives Museum, and they've built some amazing exhibit, or converted an amazing exhibit that, with ideas I never even dreamed of. They said, oh, okay, you guys are really good. That's what I want this to do. They are going to be the problem solvers of the future. Give them a problem to solve, use their talents that they've learnt, solve the problems for us. That's what it's about. So that's the educational week, the first week of the Festival of Tech. Other things can go on as well, but because the kids are off school, we want all kinds of events for students to go to. If you're able to host an event in some way, if you want to volunteer at an event, go to the Festival of Tech website, sign up, and we'll support you in one way or the other. But we want events for students to go to all around the county, not just our ones. If you've got something you want to run, something you can do with your business, tell us about it, and we'll try and get it running for you. Okay, and now, it's Gary's turn.
So thank you, Robert. I'm sure that you are probably all thinking to yourselves at the moment, you've got hundreds and questions and lots of things that you're already thinking about. The good news is we do have a solution for that kind of thing. If you've got questions and you're desperately to ask them, if you go to Slido, which is sli.do, there's a code you can add in, which is 1018804. We're going to flash it up on the screen any second, I hope. If anything, just get rid of that awful picture of me. I am Gary Hunt. I haven't had a horrible accident in between now and then. But if you have questions, please pop them on here. We are going to try to get them today, to the end of this session today, but we've got a lot of stuff to get through. So if we don't get to them, rest assured we're going to take them away. We will add them to the FAQs on the website and we will get to them. So, as Robert said and as Nikki has said, we can't build this festival based on just our ideas alone, because else I'd just be bringing Taylor Swift to Cornwall for a Taylor Swift-themed tech conference. I mean, the first one of its kind, but probably not a good idea. So I'm actually here to talk to you about Tech Jam Late. So hands up, all of those of you in the room, that all of that stuff that Robert just talked about sounded really cool. Okay. Secondly, hands up those of you who are under 18. Okay, so there is a slight, ever so slight problem. But the good news is when we do Tech Jam Late, we take all of that cool stuff, we kind of pick it up, roll it up into a big ball, and then we go into a pub or a suitable venue with a bar, crucially. We let you do all of the cool stuff that we normally only let the kids do, and then a generous helping of some delicious Cornish pasties? That's a different thing entirely. A delicious helping of Cornish pasties as well. So you can come along to a bar, have a pasty, have a drink, and mess around with our robots, possibly invade a small provincial village, all those kind of cool stuff that we can do. We ran our first one of these down at St. Austell Brewery last year, and we are going to be doing this again on Thursday the 22nd of February, so in the second week of the Festival of Tech. They're going to be very limited spaces because of the time we need to be able to kind of interact with you guys and help you do stuff and help you kind of realize all the different things we can do. So we're going to run 2 or 3 sessions over one evening so we can get the maximum amount of people in that we possibly can. So we're looking forward to seeing you there. We're going to find a suitable venue and a suitable place to go. And it was a brilliant event last time, and we are really, really looking forward to doing it again. I've been desperate to do it this year, but we just haven't been able to find the time. So you'll be pleased to know my stage is over. I am going to be very excited to welcome you, the founder of the award-winning Tech Women, CIC, Caitlin Gould, up to the stage, and she's going to talk to us about Ctrl Alt Delete.
Hi everyone, as Gary said, I'm Caitlin from Tech Women CIC, but I'd like to talk to you today about a brand new project that we're running. So this is called Ctrl Alt Delete, and it is a new summit that we're hosting as a part of Cornwall Festival of Tech. And the aim of it is really to think about how we can reboot the tech industry to build a better future for all. So that's a really nice, lofty, cool phrase, but what does that actually mean? Well, what we're looking to do is celebrate accessible and inclusive innovation. We want to bring together the tech companies, the organizations, the community groups, and the people who really care about inclusive and accessible tech. And we want to try to not only celebrate them, but also take forward that conversation about what comes next. So, as I mentioned, we're trying to bring in people that are technology experts, product owners, but also students and community groups to be able to really think about that co-creation when it comes to product development. We have a really exciting day planned. The morning is all focused on fast and interesting talks where people sharing their stories of the products that they're building, as well as their own experiences around accessibility and inclusivity. And then in the afternoon, we have a series of workshops planned, from exploring what areas are still so taboo that nobody's bothering to innovate in them, through to what co-creation could look like and how you can have purpose-driven companies that still make a profit. We really believe in practicing what we preach, so we are hosting the event at the Hall for Cornwall as one of the most accessible places in Cornwall for this type of thing. We also think it's really cool to be able to take this conversation from the kind of soapboxes that a lot of people get and give it a huge stage. And really celebrate what's happening here. So it's important to note that the Hall for Cornwall is fully accessible. We're also planning on having a British Sign Language translator, as well as lots of different accessibility support available. So how can you guys help? Well, there's a number of different ways that your organizations can make an impact with us. We are looking for sponsorship. Although it is a part of the Cornwall Festival of Tech, we want this to grow, and we'd like to make it, I have massive ambitions for what it could be. If you know me, that's not a surprise. I have managed to take it from the 3-day takeover of Eden to 1 day at the Hall for Cornwall, once I reviewed it. But we really want it to grow. We want to bring in companies and organizations from across the UK and even Europe into Cornwall. We feel like that really helps Cornish organizations, because then you don't have to travel very far and they can all come to you, but we can have a national conversation on what this looks like. We're also looking for impact and engagement partners, so people who maybe want to get involved with some of the workshops or help us think about how we can make this day really successful. And then we will also have space for exhibitors as well. So, as I mentioned, we are giving this a huge stage. These are some of the themes that we're looking at content-wise. So, technology talks from companies that are working and playing in this space, either creating products or also creating services, or continuing to explore and question these areas. We're also going to have a startup panel and opportunities for startups to be alongside these existing companies. And we're really interested as well as making sure we get the community voices out there, so people that are working in this space to kind of fight for more inclusivity. So this is a collaboration of kind of change-driven organizations. This is something that's been at the core of what we do at Tech Women, and I think is really something that reflects a lot of the businesses I know in Cornwall. Cornwall seems to be a hub of purpose-driven companies, and so it feels like a really great place to be able to showcase this. So it's brand new. We're still in the process of locking everything down, and we're very agile, so we're open to change. If you've got suggestions, ideas, feedback, criticism, please let us know. Right now, while we're still creating it, is our chance to really make something amazing. We had really great advice from somebody who runs events for across the world yesterday, and she said, really think about what are people going to leave the event with? How are they going to feel at the end of that event? And that's what we're really keen on, and that's what we're focusing on, is how can we make sure that people are feeling inspired, excited, and passionate about what they do, and leave that event really being proud and thinking about what they could do next. So if you guys can help us on that journey, we would love to hear from you. Also, we are charging for tickets for this event as a national conference, but we have 100 tickets that are available for free to non-profit organizations, student groups, academics, as well as Cornish businesses with less than 5 people. Now, you're all in the room, so you get to know about this first. If you go onto the website, it's live now, get your tickets. If you are a larger organization and you'd like to come with a large group of people, do talk to us and we can see about doing things like group discounts. And sponsors, of course, get to come for free. So, so that's Ctrl Alt Delete. We are now live with all of our socials. We will be pushing it a lot. So please follow us and join the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. We're really, really excited about Ctrl Alt Delete. Again, like Caitlin said, it's been one of those dream events, I think, for a really, really long time. So to see it suddenly come to life is absolutely massive, and it'll be really, really great for Cornwall as well. There's another showcase event taking place during that week, and this is on the Tuesday, so this is the day before Ctrl Alt Delete. It is the big Cornish Tech Showcase. What a name. It's going to take place at Heartlands in Poole, and it'll feature a huge expo featuring essentially all of your companies. This is the place where we want to get buyers in the room to connect with the tech, digital, software, and even creative companies that are based here in Cornwall. We are going to treat this as kind of a big expo, but there will be 2 stages featuring 2 tracks, and one of those tracks will be vendor talks, and it's going to be targeting typical problems that companies have in their businesses. For example, the most basic, I need a new website. How do I buy a new website? We're going to have some vendor talks focusing around web, because often most people think they need a website and actually they need an app or go through a completely different digital transformation journey. It might focus on bringing AI into the company. How do we automate some of the processes so we can spend more time innovating? How do we build on SEO? How do we solve all of those sorts of issues that companies might not have time to think about, but they know that they need to invest in? We really want to use this as an opportunity to show some of the knowledge that Cornwall has and make sure that it reaches the wider industries in Cornwall. Some of those industries like manufacturing, marine, clean tech, healthcare tech, public sector in Cornwall, and there's one more I haven't mentioned, hospitality. These are all industries in Cornwall that spend a lot of money on their services. You'd be hard-pressed to find a company or organisation or industry in Cornwall that doesn't have some sort of tech, software, something, foundation that they're using in their businesses. And ultimately, it makes everybody a tech company. We need to know that they can solve those problems on their doorstep. The second track, as part of the showcase, will be very much, if anyone's experienced some of our Tech Connect events, this will be very much the tech track. So we're going to be talking about future trends in tech, and you'll hear a little glimpse of that this afternoon when we get to our keynote speaker. So we're going to talk about the future of AI, the impacts that some of this tech might have, cybersecurity. We're going to cover some of the topics that are horizon scanning and actually make sure that the businesses and individuals in Cornwall know what's coming in terms of technology, know whether it's going to have an impact on their business and make change and make waves, and then also how to capitalize on the opportunities that those technologies will bring. When we brought Agile on the Beach to Cornwall, in fact, we invented Agile on the Beach in Cornwall 12 years ago, the whole point was making sure that Cornwall was using Agile methodologies, and it just expanded from there. We want to make sure that Cornwall is at the forefront again of tech, so that any company, individual, regardless of whether you think you're a tech company or not, you're a traditional business, make sure that you are up to speed on all of the tech trends that are coming and how you can make the most of those opportunities. As part of the showcase, we're also going to feature a startup pavilion. So we've got 10 spaces for about 10 tech startups. So our some of you may know we kicked off a Startup Cornwall event back in September. We held it at Sailors Nightclub in Newquay, and it was powered by Slush, which is Europe's biggest startup conference. They supported us very much like TED support TEDx events. A few of us are actually heading out to Helsinki in 2 weeks to go and talk to Slush about maybe doing it again. But we're definitely running a startup event again next year. But we were so blown away. We had over 30 applications for startups to pitch at that event to a room full of investors. And actually, we want to make sure that February also gives startups a chance to get their message out to locals, show that there is an investor community here, and also draw out some angel investors that don't know that they're angels yet. There is money circulating in Cornwall, and we want to make sure it's also invested locally. And startups are a really, really great way to do that. And there is some killer tech here. Those applications, it was really, really hard for our advisory board to narrow it down to 10. And so we're keen that we give them more opportunity again to get featured. And it's really great to then have them alongside some cutting-edge tech companies as well who will also be exhibiting. The key word in Showcase is show. We want this exhibition to actually show and demo some of the tech that we're seeing. We want to move away from, yes, there will be banner stands. We'll always have banner stands. But from just the sort of business card swapping, we actually want to say, look, come and play with some of the technology. If you're writing killer software, or you've got some projects that you're really, really proud of, or you've done some amazing things with your client, bring them to the Showcase. Show off what you do. Let people have a click around their sites. If you're building robots, we're going to have our rovers driving around. Whatever it may be, come and show the technology. Create an interactive space on your exhibition stand and show that actually there are some really, really cool things for people to play with, and that Cornwall, can stand amongst everybody else and show some of the creativity and innovations that it can do. There's loads of ways of getting involved in the Showcase. There's 7 specifically. One of them is just turn up. Whether it's a Showcase, Ctrl Alt Delete, Tech Jam Late, whatever it may be, come along to an event. We've really tried to make sure that there's something for everybody in the whole of the festival. For the festival itself, you can sponsor. As Caitlin says, you can sponsor individual events, but there's also a global sponsorship opportunity where actually if you're looking at reaching multiple audiences, we can really work with you to kind of hone in on the events that we can give you some publicity at and make sure that your brand and your name and your services reach the right people. And sponsorship really helps us keep doing this again and again. And any surplus obviously goes back into our education outreach. We are a non-profit, and we do really great work, so we're keen to keep funding it. And sponsorship's a great way to do that. So we'll make sure that you get as much publicity as possible and really work with you to understand what your goals are, and we can tweak those packages accordingly. Robert touched on this earlier. So as part of the festival, we're organising a certain number of events. But we've also got some grants available for you to go and organise your own events. So they're between £250 to £2,000. We've got, I can't remember how many of these we've got available, so I'm not going to say just in case I completely set the expectation and then Holly comes and tells me off later. But if you are thinking of running an event in your community, or you've tried to do something and it just needs another little bit of support to get it off the ground, or you just want to put some money into a bit of digital advertising or getting a banner stand, or bringing some help in, we've got grants available to do that. And we want to make sure that we use all of them, that they reach the community as well. And we've got some of that funding for 2 years. So if not this year, but you get inspired, come back next year because we'll have grants available then as well. You can also, if you're already running an event or you want to run something locally, you can just submit your event and benefit from the publicity that we'll have as part of the Showcase. The submission is live on the website now. I'm going to put the link up at the end and it'll be on during lunch, so you can all hit the website. But we really want to make this a community-driven thing with lots of fringe events going on all over Cornwall and making sure we're serving some of the communities that are really hard to reach. Volunteers, we couldn't do anything that we do without our awesome team of volunteers. There's a few of you in the room today. And volunteers are really important. They help us do what we do, but also it's a really great way for individuals to gain some work experience, not just in tech, digital and software, but in event management, people management, communication. We have volunteers for all sorts of things, and we've developed a really, really strong volunteer program, and we're keen to get some help and give people some really worthwhile experiences. And if anything else, it's really, really good fun. And for anyone looking to break into the industry, it is one of the most amazing networking opportunities. So really, really great opportunities, and you can apply to volunteer on the website as well. And then media coverage. There's a lot of people that run a great blog, run a successful Instagram account, and actually are looking to showcase something a little bit different. We can work with you to get you some really great content, get you interviews with the right people. Come and talk to us about media. We're obviously going to engage with press on this, and we have done already. We want to make sure that there is a buzz around this, and it's not just the people in the room that benefit, but we can shout widely across Cornwall as well. So that's the Showcase. Like I said, there'll be the expo in the day. There will also be an evening reception, and we're hoping we'll be able to put on a little bit of because it's February, we're not going to do a fireworks display, we're going to do a laser light show, and have something that we can use to celebrate the end of the expo, but also something that's a bit family friendly. Heartlands is an amazing location for this. Not only is it super accessible, and they give you the parking for free when you run an event there, there's loads of spaces around there, there's a really amazing bar, and we just want to do something a little bit different and say thank you for everyone that's come along during the day as well. So, but those plans are sort of forming. Keen to hear from you guys as well in that feedback form. And ultimately, the exhibition booking is open now. We've got quite a few spaces. We've tried to pack in as many expo stands as we can to make sure that as many companies who want to exhibit can, but also sponsorships another really great way to get your message out there as well, and submissions for some of those vendor talks. I know there's a lot of people in this room with really killer projects, and we were talking about some just earlier that they might want to share and help others in Cornwall solve those problems as well. So I think that's everything on the expo. I'm going to hand over to Laura, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about Screen Cornwall. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me here. So my name's Laura, I run Screen Cornwall, which is based at Crowdy as part of the Creative Kerno Group. So we link out to pretty much the whole of the creative industries sector. Cultivator was based there, which is a business support programme, Cornwall 365, Feast, Canter Cove, Seafilm. There's a whole sort of range of different tendrils, if you like, that reach into the creative sector. And we also have the brief from the council for creative careers for schools and young people. So it's a real pleasure to come today and talk about what we're going to be doing around that in the games and tech sector. And Imagination Unleashed, which is what we're bringing to you, is we did a pilot last year at Hall for Cornwall. We thought, what happens if you bring all the projects that we've sort of heard about through our networks that are where creativity meets technology, whether that's for a kind of societal solution, or is it addressing a problem, or is it a piece of entertainment, or a piece of kind of cultural comment on the world today, all of those things. What if we bring them into one space and just give people access to play? And we do obviously love what the education sector is doing in a lot of ways, but there's less and less space to play for people. So we thought, what can we do if we bring play to them? So we had about 100 people, young people in the morning, came last year to Hall for Cornwall. They got to do VR, a sonic escape room, meet robots, do all kinds of things. And we had some amazing speakers, and really just watching people interact was the experiment, and it kind of paid off. So we're really grateful to Cornwall Council for funding more activity this year. We will be having 3 strands basically. So this year we're going to have a games challenge alongside Cornwall Games and Mind Feast, who are kind of an up-and-coming games company. Young people will be invited to submit character designs, dialogue, a whole load of sort of wider creative sector elements to a brief that we'll put out early in January. And then when that closes, Mind Feast will take those elements, they'll work with young people to do some more finessing of them, to create levels, and then they'll build the game so that people coming on the 12th of March can actually play it. So there's a really amazing open opportunity for people with all creative backgrounds to come and get involved in some games development, to try their hand. And we know that, musicians, artists, people studying English, there's space for them all within the creative and tech sectors. So I think hopefully it'll be a nice wide brief that people can get involved in. The second thing we're going to do is work on some public events. We'd love to sort of, we have our home in the Hall for Cornwall in Truro for the main event, but we'd love to take that to towns across Cornwall. We know that everything isn't that accessible all the time for people, and especially young people, with the cost of travel and the time of travel and the rail replacement bus services and all the fun things that we've been enduring in the last few weeks. So we're going to try and put some events on across Cornwall. We'd love to hear from people who are interested in hosting those. As with the community grants, we've got some additional money to support activity in that half-term week. So if you want to find out more, just grab me or Charlie, who's my colleague sitting just over there, who's waving, and or look at our website and we can sort of update you on the details. And then finally, we've got this sort of main showcase event at Hall for Cornwall. Again, we'll have a schools part, we'll have an industry part. There's going to be some guest speakers announced in January. I'm afraid we weren't able to get them ready for today. But the idea really is that anybody who is interested in where that kind of creativity and tech smash, whether you're a dancer doing motion capture, or you're an NFT artist, or any of those things, a games developer, we've got a lot of open opportunities to showcase, workshop, and celebrate really what's going on here. So thank you very much for listening. Imagination Unleashed is really, really important foot in the ground for the sector in Cornwall. Last year we managed to get a photo on the front page of the FT after the pilot event, which was amazing work from the team. And I really hope that this does what Nikki and the rest of us are sort of aiming for, which is a sort of general celebration of what's going on here and the ambition and the talent that exists in the region. Thanks very much.
Yes, so I'm back. I've got some hilarious jokes. No, I've got some actual stuff to talk about. So the important thing you've heard about, like the first week and 3 to 4 days of the Festival of Tech. So I'm here to talk to you about the crescendo, the epic conclusion to the whole 2 weeks. I may be over-egging this. But what we're doing, the very final weekend of the CreaTech Weekender is going to be called the CreaTech Weekender. So for those of you that may be from across the bridge in Plymouth, back in my home, ooh, I know, there was something called the Plymouth Arts Weekender just before the pandemic, and it was a really great way of encouraging arts organisations to get out and show people what they were doing. They encouraged them to open up their spaces, put on workshops, all kinds of stuff like that. And that was what I was really inspired by when we come up with the CreaTech Weekender, because I know we've got lots of fantastic creative and tech companies in and around Cornwall that could shout about what they do. And that's exactly what we want to do. We are encouraging you to let your creative and tech businesses come up with as many ideas as you can. There is almost no limit to what we come up with. You will not have Holly and Nikki telling you that your ideas are a tiny bit insane like most of mine come back with. We're going to be supported really wonderfully by Screen Cornwall, who are going to help us identify some great organisations to work with and some really good ideas. And if for any reason they don't make it into the Festival of Tech, we're going to share them with Screen Cornwall, and they may become part of Imagination Unleashed. They may be too insane entirely, and we have to report you to some board somewhere. But hopefully it won't be that bad. But just to give you a bit of an idea of the kind of thing we're looking for, and we are already talking to people, encouraging them to put things in, but giving you some ideas. Game developers, you could run a game jam. Content creators, we'd love it if you were to run a filmmaking workshop. There's even been thoughts of maybe running some kind of NFT art show. That is the kind of the limit of my insanity and creativity. So I am hopeful that people can think outside of the box as much as possible. You've got a whole weekend to do that. Similar to the way with those community activity grants that Nikki mentioned before, we've got pots of money to put towards that. And that will help to support you to put those events on. We don't expect you to put those events on for free, and we would like to see that those events become part of the festival going forward, and they become like a flagship event of your organisation and something that you guys look forward to. Like Nikki said before, were it not for volunteering, I wouldn't have this job. So if you haven't ever thought about volunteering, you're not having this one, but there will be other jobs that are available. I'll guard this one with my life. I'll fight you all for it. But volunteering is absolutely the best way to get into it. Like I said, had I not started doing it, I wouldn't be here now. That's why we're really passionate about giving back to that community in that way. So like we say, we've got a small amount of grants. If you want to know any information about the Festival of Tech, the CreaTech Weekender, the community activation stuff, everything we've talked about is on the Cornwall Festival of Tech.co.uk website, and you can find all the information there for putting applications in, for putting your volunteer requests in there, and everything like that. We've also tried to make it as simple as we possibly can in the initial stage, because we know that when you're a small voluntary organisation especially, the prospect of seeing like a 5-page documentation where you have to fill in all your directors' addresses and provide bank account details and blood samples and sacrificing your firstborn, you don't want any of that stuff in the application process. So the initial application process, we just want to get your idea in, and we want to make sure that you're a real person and not an AI bot filling that in, and then we will come back to you with a little bit more detail so to make sure we can fit some of our stuff in there. So hopefully I've made enough broad, crazy statements and insanity. I hope that made sense. We're all going to be available to speak to you about all of this throughout the rest of the time. So we are tantalizingly close to lunch. But I'm going to bring Nikki up for one final time before we get you for lunch. And please make sure, like we've said already, if you have any questions, we've got a tiny bit of time left, so we can get some questions. If you can pop them on Slido, it will save me from having to run around with the microphone. Is anyone having problems connecting? Yes. Okay. Yeah. We'll work that out. Don't panic.
Thank you, Gary. So, that was a lot. That was a lot. We know you've got questions. If Slido's being a bit clunky, we have got some roaming mics, so maybe I'll send Gary around the audience with a couple of mics. How many mics we got? 2? And Rob as well, that way we can cover the whole room. Yeah, you've probably got a lot of burning questions. I realised that was a lot of information. I'm actually going to skip, that was a lot, go straight to the bit with our web address, because that is the key place to go and find out all the information. And then we'll wrap up in about sort of after some questions with a few notes on lunch, which I know you're going to be very interested about. So, you guys want to hit the audience with some mics? Don't forget to complete your forms as well. You'll need those to get your food. Does anybody have any questions? Good.
We've got some questions coming in. Is this microphone working? Yes, it is.
Yes.
We've got some questions coming in, so I'm going to sit down. If you pop your questions in here, you will save my athletic physique from
I was
getting
kind
any
of tempted
better.
to send you out, actually. There's a couple of questions over here.
We've got one from Chris, so thank you to Chris. What age can you be to volunteer? Excellent question.
That's a good question. It's basically 16 plus, right? Yes. Thanks, Holly. 16 plus. At time of the festival, yeah.
Another question. We've got an anonymous one here. What age group to the kids' workshop? This might be more a Robert question.
It's more down to parents, really. If they're really young, they need parental support to help them. It's really down, can they use a computer, a keyboard, and mouse? 7-year-old, I would normally say is the youngest. You probably do get younger ones there, and the parents are quite happy to support. It's up to the parents.
Another question on here. There's more on FYI, but saying thank you very much to whoever put that one in. The FibreHub LED workshop, something called Line Wobbler, something for you, Robert. I can see a question here from Darren, asking what time will Gary be passing us on the zip line. If hell freezes over, it will be when I go on that zip line. So, anybody else forcing me to walk around, get cardio?
Where's got a question?
I'm not running. I don't maintain this athlete's physique by walking anyway.
Hi, Woe here. Okay, people usually hear my voice anyway. So the most important part for me, because I really love to sponsor this, is that there's a narrative and content creation and streaming and everything, so it's not Cornwall talking to Cornwall again. This is the opportunity at last to sort of change that. So there's going to be content creation up to it on the event, post, streaming, everything to get that out.
Yeah, I mean, today gives you a good example of the sort of things that we're doing. So we are trying to capture, we're trying to photograph, document, and share. The truth is this year, we are going to do a bit of internal plugging across Cornwall to make sure that Cornwall knows that we're here, because actually something our members are telling us is that's not always the case. So, but our ambition is that we do shout outside Cornwall. But we are bringing events. I mean, it's worth mentioning that the Startup Cornwall Powered by Slush event is a European event that we brought to Cornwall, and it came to the UK for the very first time, and it was us and Liverpool that brought it in September for the first day. And so it's doing events like that that do turn the narrative outwards and showcase Cornwall as a place to do global business. So the festival this year is going to be very much mobilising Cornwall, but absolutely we're going to get some press coverage. We're going to make sure we're working with our friends at the likes of Tech Southwest. We've got amazing relationships with to get the word out across the Southwest as well. But also we're making really good relationships with the likes of London Tech Week, who last year wanted us to go, we couldn't make it. But actually we're going to go out and take Cornwall on the road as well. But the first year of the festival is about getting it right. This is a bit of a test bed for us. We've not done this before. So we want to make sure that we're capitalising on those opportunities, getting that feedback. And then 2025 will be even bigger.
And just to talk on Ctrl Alt Delete. So for our event, we're planning on recording all the talks and then making those videos available later.
So they'll be available on YouTube, they'll be available, we're planning on also taking the talks and turning them into content that's available out to all the schools across Cornwall. We think it's really cool to get kids excited about technology, engineering, and how you can solve problems by showing examples of businesses that are doing that. So it's a nice bit of content that we can repurpose to get out both locally to inspire young people, but also sharing on a global stage by sharing the talks internationally. So we are planning on recording it all and putting it out there. So
Cool.
if you do talk, you can get it out there too.
Thanks, Wo. Any other questions?
We've got a couple of questions on the app again. I think this will be a nice one for you to be able to answer. Has the amount of tech funding into Cornwall decreased after leaving the EU?
Went to really good use. It's created jobs and expansion and growth. And wherever funding sources come from, whether it's EU, SPF, whatever the future holds, we're going to make sure that it's investment and that it's used and that it actually increases the economic development of Cornwall, because that's really, really what it's all about.
Another good one. How are we going to be attracting key people outside of Cornwall to engage with the festival?
Well, thankfully, we're in a digital age, so we are reaching out to our networks. Turns out we're quite well networked. This is why we managed to bring Slush here. Agile on the Beach gives us a massive network of 500 people from across the UK. I think only 30% of the attendees for Agile on the Beach are actually Cornwall-based. Most of them are national and international attendees as well. So Cornwall's kind of already on the map in the Agile space, and we are able to lean on those sorts of relationships as well and make sure Cornwall is shouted about across the country. We've also got really great links with the UK Tech Cluster Group, like I said before, Tech South West. We've got counterparts in Norfolk as well, and in Manchester, Sheffield, Leeds. We're in touch with all the digital clusters up there as well. So people know that we're here. It's about showing them that we can also do some cool stuff as well to make sure that we get them on trains, in cars, on buses, flights, whatever it may be, the most sustainable way of travel, to get them into Cornwall as well and bring them down on those events.
Dan, yes, we will make the Taylor Swift Tech event happen. Me and you together, if nothing else.
2025.
2025, the Taylor Swift Tech Conference World Tour. A really good question, actually, and one with I know that we will have a very good answer for. Another anonymous one. Will there be almost a careers fair for adults/young people where businesses can meet people who are suitable for jobs, and then saying interview speed dating?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. So we wondered whether we put this as part of the expo. The truth is I'm not quite sure where it falls, but absolutely yes. We already run our Gateway to Tech Career Switch program that Rob heads up. That's had a massive success rate, and the reason it's so successful, along with Caitlin Tech Women's Digital Uplift program, is we bring employers, we put them in the room with candidates looking for jobs. Most of what our members tell us is that they can probably teach somebody to code, but they can't test the aptitude of whether they are willing to learn, willing to change habits of how they've developed tech in the past. It's the creativity and problem-solving skills that are the skills that we need to draw out of individuals. And the ones that sort of tinker in the background and play with tech in the sideline, it's those people that we want to draw out and help them career switch. So yeah, that's probably one of the things we're best at, and we're going to keep doing it. I'm going to just give the mic to Caitlin just as a side plug for your employer showcase that you've got in a couple of days.
Yeah, I have too much time. Yeah, we're running an employer showcase as part of our Digital Uplift program, which, as Nikki said, is helping women explore digital and tech opportunities. So that's actually next week. So if that question came from an employer, let me know. We can connect you with a bunch of women who are looking to work in digital and tech. If that question came from somebody who's looking for a role, let us know. Doesn't matter what gender you are. We've got 15 people coming to that all are looking to hire people. If you don't feel comfortable coming along to the event, as we're aimed at anybody who identifies as female, but you still want to connect with those employers, we're really happy to pass it along. We can also let you know what jobs we've got available. We always showcase all the jobs that are on Software Cornwall, and then we also showcase jobs that other employers tell us about. So, yeah, really, really happy to help with that. And yeah, cool, thanks.
So I think we've got time for just about 2 or 3 more. So apologies if we don't get to yours, but we'll get you. First thing, there was a question in from Chris saying, how are you all such great speakers? Thank you very much.
Chris, big fan.
Could be an opportunity for others to learn better. And I'll very briefly interrupt to say, I've got 2 children that are 11 and 12. I have 12 years of experience of talking to people that don't listen to me and then continue to not do what they're told. So for me, it is an absolute joy to stand in front of you when you're actively listening and wanting to do stuff. So that makes speaking in front of people easy. Having a giant ego like myself is also a great way. And I think probably the official answer that we should be giving you is, if you want to do that, find some awesome speakers and put on a speaker masterclass as part of the outreach events, as part of CreaTech Weekender. I know it's something that we're always asked about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's no magic thing. I still get terrified when I'm about to stand up on stage, but then I just channel that into this annoying personality that I've created for myself.
I just wanted to say too, if somebody's interested in talking at our event, it's an inclusivity and accessibility event. Not everybody in those spaces are going to feel comfortable standing up on stage. So if you've got something you want to say and you don't want to stand on the stage and look out at the entire audience of the whole for Cornwall, we can pre-record stuff, we can do things with video, we can do lots of things to be able to make sure that you still get your message out and that your ideas are heard without requiring you to kind of tackle that kind of fear. If you do want to tackle it and you want some support, we can help you with that too. So we can work with you on some training to be able to get up and talk. We want this to be an opportunity for everyone to have a voice, not just people who are practiced at speaking or people who have something to sell.
Yeah, that sums it up perfectly. It's worth mentioning with our Tech Connect events, and certainly with everything Software Cornwall do, we have a code of conduct as part of our community. It's about being really nice and respectful. That's the really, really short version. You can read the long version on the website as well. But we really try and create those opportunities that if you're, as Caitlin already said, not a comfortable speaker. I don't think anyone who starts out on the speaking opportunity is, but we know that certainly within our membership, everyone is really, really nice and everyone just wants you to succeed because we know there's great skills in here. We know you've got some really awesome stories to tell and we really want to draw those stories out of you and we will absolutely support you and something we do really well is training. And we've got some awesome connections through Agile on the Beach and an incredible training schedule that Kaylee, my teammate, has developed over a number of years. So we are connected with some brilliant trainers and public speakers included. So this is an opportunity to have a go, come and shine, we'll help you do that.
I think that brings us to the end. There is a few more questions. We cannot get to all of them, but we will absolutely take them away. And we'll put some Q&As up on the thing and get those answers to you. So please, if you haven't had your question answered, please don't feel bad. We will make sure that we get it out to everyone and get those questions answered. I think we can probably move on.
Great. So you're probably all wondering about lunch. So it is served. I'm pleased to say it's at the back of the room. You will need your forms because my team will track you down. We need that feedback. But it's worth mentioning that they're going to keep replenishing the lunch. So if you're feeling like you're at the back of the queue or you need to pop off to the loo, the food will not run out. Do not worry. We're going to make sure there's enough food. And we've got about an hour, so get some networking. This afternoon, we're joined by Georgie Barrett, who's come all the way from London to, she's ex-Gadget Show. She's going to talk to you about some of the emerging trends in tech as well. And we're really, really excited for her talk. So go and enjoy some lunch. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you shortly.